So who's
Yeah.
going first?
Well, hi everyone. Welcome to our podcast. We've got a splendid little HDE podcast to present to you. God knows why we're doing this, but Sean liked the idea, so yeah, we're stuck with it now. Yeah, welcome to Sean. You're right there.
Yeah, not bad. I'm in a very awful location because I'm kind
I'm
of,
loving the background, mate. It's brilliant.
I I can't get any better than this, can it?
No, exactly. Living in luxury, but yeah, it's the first episode, the first chapter of this wonderful podcast, and we haven't even come up with a name for it, so we'll have to figure that out. Or you guys can give us an idea of what you want to call it, which would be nice. And yeah, we'll just sort of take it away. So the first sort of topic, the first sort of discussion was going to be what is HDE. Sean, what's HDE?
Um, Hang on. Hyperdrive Esports. No, but Hyperdrive then, of course, is the merge of ALR and PBE, and it's come together. We've got 7 leagues now. Well, 7 leagues across Monday to Sunday. Then we got 2 additional leagues, the multiplayer on Sunday, and also we got Formula 2 as well, which is fantastic. Really good stuff indeed. It's like 9 leagues across 7 days is absolutely ridiculous, isn't it? Goodness me, there's action galore every literally every day. It's fantastic, isn't it? There are 20 magnificent drivers. Of course, we've recorded this after the first couple of rounds or so. Longest season as well this season as well, Alex. I must say,
Yeah.
pretty ruthless.
Yeah, I'm liking the long calendar. To be fair, though, I think it's nice to have the new tracks added in, or the new tracks. We haven't really had a chance to race on them in ALR or PB before, so yeah, it's yeah, good to have them back. Good to have them added onto the calendar, and then good to have China back, of course, because everyone loves China. It's a great track. Um,
Mm.
so, we might have a feature on that coming up later on in this podcast, but yeah, the way I describe China, and everyone's probably heard this. I think Sean's already heard this as well, but it's all the corners of all the tracks that they didn't want, so just put together into China as one track. So yeah, no, it's a really good calendar, I think, and like I said, it's a good experience and a good sort of next era for league racing as well. Getting all, like I said, 7 leagues of F1 and then the F2 and multiplayer divisions as well. Good to have everyone sort of giving it a crack and putting in a good show so far as well. So yeah, that's HD in a nutshell. Like I said, we've got all sorts of bits and pieces going on in the Discord and whatnot as well. So like I said, follow us on Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and everything like that. And on YouTube as well. You can watch the lovely podcast on YouTube. So yeah, so yeah, yeah. Really, it's just something that came about because it was just a good opportunity for both leagues. I think it was, like you said, ALR and PBE merging together, and yeah, yeah, it's just something that we both wanted to do, and we're just it's gonna work out. I think so. I hope so because I'm really tired.
Yeah, that was the
So
main reason for me as well. To be honest, selfishly, I was fed up doing 4 days of commentary. I love commentary, but 4 days after, yeah, on the third day, on the fourth day on Wednesday, Kobo, I didn't think I was given proper the proper attention it deserved. I think, and I think it was unfair on the drivers. So yeah, it's quite nice to have different commentators as well. I love listening to Dylan. I love listening to Alex, Vintage, Jake. We got KD as well. That's doing also doing some commentary as well for us. Fantastic stuff. It's really nice as well to have different variety of commentators, and that's one big plus for me.
mm,
I like to. Well, I'm trying not to watch Division 6 at the moment because I've had a nightmare. So less said about that, the better. But I really enjoy watching Division 7 back, Division 5, 4, 3, and 2. I must say, I'm really enjoying 2 at the moment. I don't know. It's probably because I've got a soft spot for Milan.
oh God, no, I was going to say. Well, to be fair, I think Division Two very competitive. Well, I think all divisions are pretty competitive as well, and I think Wilson done a good job at the beginning trying to put everyone into the grids and everything because 140 drivers plus all the extra drivers as well who've thankfully come across and helping out as well now. But yeah, 140 drivers into 7 days, getting everybody into a grid, even just based on their availability, not not even their pace, let alone that. But yeah, it was a fantastic achievement. So yeah, really good stuff from them. And back on the commentary side of things, if you wanted to do 7 days a week, I don't think I would have a problem with that. So yeah, if you're ever up for it, Sean, we can do a whole week of Sean on comms.
Oh gosh, you'll be hearing a lot of like it rains 12 days here in Bahrain kind of stuff over and over again.
Well, if it's only 7 days, you'll be all right.
Well, yeah.
To be fair, there's a greater chance of it raining in those streams as well. Then.
Well, it did rain in Bahrain. It did rain in Abu Dhabi once, didn't it? In silver. That was
God,
a
yeah,
really
that was a
weird
nightmare.
race. Never thought about that.
Yeah, but it was before it wasn't into weather, but it was raining sort of thing. So yeah, it was a
Yeah,
bit odd, that wasn't it?
I
Yeah, I
loved
remember
it.
that was fun to watch though, definitely.
Yeah, don't
But
think
yeah,
Dan
so I
liked it.
mean, HDE just that's the next sort of stage, the next sort of era. Obviously, you want to do a bit of league racing every night of the week, and obviously have the sort of the fun leagues as well on the Saturdays and Sundays as well with the F2 and multiplayer and all sorts of bits and pieces out there as well. So yeah, all the other games that we want to play in the Discord as well. Feel free to jump on that. I know Sean loves a bit of Among Us, but
That's very sus.
he's very sus. But yeah, no, it's a good little venture, and I think, like I said, it will hopefully pay off for everybody who's involved in it as well. So yeah, it's good. Um, but yeah, no, it's good to have Sean, good to have Sean here with us on the podcast as well. Of course, the audio technician, the IT man. So
Less said about that, the better.
no, it's all good. It's all good. So that's it. I mean, HD in a nutshell, just the next sort of stage of league racing, and I think it's a bit bigger and better than previous projects and things like that. And I think that's what we want to do, so take it a bit further than what we've been working at before as well. So expanding it and growing everything, making it bigger and better. So and definitely bigger and better in Sean's case, of course. 'Cause,
Mm.
keep it PG. Keep it
Yes.
PG.
It's only 8:30, so it's before the watershed. So let's
Yeah, okay, we can't do
keep it
anything
clean.
like that. But yeah, so that's what HD is in a nutshell, really, and what we want to do with it. Obviously, we want to keep growing it and things like that. But yeah, that's really it from my point of view on what we can say about it. But yeah, unless there's anything else you've got to throw into the hat, throw into the ring, or rather, no, throw in the hat.
Oh, you know I love to get my hat in the ring. So yeah, the only other thing really is that I think Twitch has been a really good success. To be fair, I must say I was very skeptical about Twitch. I'm a YouTube man through and through, but Twitch has been absolutely fantastic. Dylan's been so good with his stats and all that kind of jazz. We know how much I love my stats, but literally showing us our viewership and stuff like that. I know that Alex, you got the highest ever hype train, didn't you, in Twitch for PvE, or was it second highest?
Um, Definitely the highest. I have no idea about Twitch either, so I'm just going to say it was definitely the best, and obviously because of my commentary as well. So yeah,
Well, I've only had one,
I have
so
no idea.
yeah. Yeah, so I love the hype train, getting me old choo choo on the go. But I have no idea about it and don't know what it means, but apparently it's good.
Good
Might have to
stuff.
rename it.
Yeah, that's all right.
Hyper
So
train.
who's your you mentioned Div 2. Who's your favourite grid in terms of just all the drivers, the lineups, that sort of thing, and how the first race has gone in Bahrain as well?
I said I have a soft spot for Division 2, but I also like Division 4 as well. I think Division 4 is so spread out, like, and not spread out, like so close in terms of like who can do what kind of thing in Division 4. It's ridiculous. You got like the old favourites like Nigel in there. You got Wilson, who's had a I hope you don't hear this actually, but he's had an appalling start, hasn't he? But he will be up there eventually. There's some. I mean, I can rattle off all 20 drivers for Division 4 because
Mm.
it's incredible. Obviously, Division 1 because it's the pinnacle of hyperdrive, isn't it? With all the superstars in there. I've only commentated on 2 Grand Prix so far for Division 1, and my gosh, the 2 races have been completely different. China and Bahrain, 2 completely different tracks, 2 completely different contenders for the lead and for the win, and it's really interesting to see. And I think it's a bit of a fantasy of mine to see the PBE's best and ALR's best going like head to head kind of thing. And now that they're
Hmm.
all fighting for the Division 1 title, it's absolutely great stuff. So Yeah, to be honest, I think all 7 divisions, weeknight divisions, are fantastic. Like, yeah, in all 7, I couldn't. All my favourites, which I'm not going to mention because we all know what happens to them. Apologies to all the cursed drivers over the years, but all 7, I've had a sneaking feeling, oh, he's going to do well or she's going to do well, and it's been complete opposite so far. And also another one that comes to mind, Welsh Maldonado, driving into the back of someone in Bahrain, and I don't think I think she's got nil par for Mercedes at the moment. She
Cursed.
might be, I think she might be super subbed if she ain't careful. But joking aside, it's incredible because I thought Maldonado would be up there in Division 3 as well. So yeah, it's cracking group of drivers, and
Yeah,
202 drivers in total. It's incredible, isn't it?
yeah. I was touching on what you said earlier about the closeness of the grids throughout all the grids. Um, I think, like I said, going back to putting the grids together, all seven leagues, 140 drivers, and managing to get the leagues competitively just spaced out, or not so much spaced out, but as close as they are throughout all 7 divisions is pretty good as well. To be fair, because obviously we didn't know what everyone was going to want to do, what days you want to do. So at the end of the day, we needed to put together the grids based on what days you voted for, what days you're available, because obviously we want to put on the races for everybody to enjoy, and to race on days that you can actually make it, which is quite helpful. So Sean decided to race on Tuesdays because that's his favourite day. So,
I'm changing my day.
but yeah,
Tuesday's not lucky.
Tuesday's the unlucky day.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, like I said, the closeness of all the grids, and you said it already, but I mean, it's been a pleasure to be, well, so far only 2 rounds in, but pleasure to be the admin for Division 7. Even I think it looked a bit rocky from Bahrain, but then even the next race a week later in China, absolutely smashed it. So yeah, so I think everyone's already like improving, and it's going to take some time, obviously, to get used to other drivers, new drivers you haven't raced with, of course, on track. So, as Sean's finding, of course. so, so yeah, it just once everyone gets used to it and gets settled in and that sort of thing, everyone's getting into the routine of it. And then, yeah, it would be really good. I love it. I think the first week has been pretty fantastic in terms of the racing, the responses, the reviews, and stuff like that. So. Yeah, just keep at it, guys. You're doing a great job. So, especially you, Sean. So, but yeah, I mean the grids itself. I think you touched on Division 2. I think I was saying to, can't remember who it was now. I think it was Wilson or something. But I was saying probably the top 10 from each division could go up into the division above and compete pretty well. And that's pretty fantastic. To be fair, I think that's pretty good. So yeah, more of the same, please, and we'll crack on for, like I said, 24 race season. So. You've only done 2, Sean, and now you've got another 22 to go.
Yeah, Saudi Arabia, bring it on.
Yeah, that's going to go well for you.
Oh yeah. I'm
But
quietly
yeah, I mean,
confident.
like I said the calendar's pretty nice. I like the calendar. So, and also having Jeddah, Imola, and Portimao. Although Portimao's not technically on 2022 official calendar, is it? Because it's got Miami in there instead. But when Codemasters is going to add another track to the game, I've got no idea.
Probably 2023.
If they get around to making that game,
Mm.
they're probably still working on something else. But yeah, can't get all the bugs sorted. So yeah, one day we'll have a game that actually works. Would be nice. But anyway, I'm going to start ranting about
Yeah.
Codemasters in a bit.
Let's
You need to change the
this is going to
subject.
go off. This is going to go off onto something completely different now, isn't
I'm going
it?
to all these game glitches, all of these bugs, kicking my drivers out of the lobbies.
Yeah, I do feel sorry for some drivers who get kicked out of the lobby. I bet it's so
Yeah,
frustrating. And luckily, I've only ever had that once or twice, and I lost my rag. So I don't know how the others cope with it, to be honest. But anyway, yes, that's
yeah.
a completely different ball game.
Yeah, if the game worked, then we'd be all right. So um, now you really got me wound up about Codemasters. I'm
I,
gone. I'm gone.
I like to push
But
people's buttons.
let's move on. Let's do something else. Did you watch the final race of the F1 season in Abu Dhabi, Sean?
Yes.
What's happened? You don't seem very happy about it.
Well, I don't know because it's very difficult. I don't agree with I don't agree with how it finished. To be honest, I know that I don't like to have a go at Michael Massey. Just in a nutshell, for anyone who hasn't watched it, where have you been? But
Yeah, exactly. To be fair, you're right there. Like, what have you been doing?
but Michael, the Latifi crashed after he had a bit of a had a bit of a shoe in with Schumacher, didn't he? I think he broke his wing, didn't he, or something like that, and then he understeered into the wall
Mm.
or something along those lines. Well, that's what the YouTube said anyway. Maybe they're telling me lies, but anyway, yeah, Latifi went to the wall, brought out the safety car with 6, 7 laps to go. Michael Massey wanted to get a restart, which is fair enough to be honest. We want to race and end rather than at the end of the safety car. No qualms with that because we all love racing at the end of the day. But he only let 4 cars unlock themselves, and those are
Mm.
those are the 4 cars between Hamilton and Verstappen. Yeah, and then didn't let the other part of the grid go by, which I didn't realize because it's a rule, isn't it, under the in the regs that there is a part of the race director's judgment, which I didn't know that. I thought it was all or nothing, which I was quite
Yeah, so that was the bit that was obviously everyone was looking at straight
yeah
after the race finished because that was the one that was coming under pressure from Mercedes side of things, obviously. It it doesn't I think it doesn't specify all in the regulations. It says that lapped cars may overtake the safety car, may pass the safety car, and obviously go on and carry on and get a gap so that they don't impede the leaders. But it doesn't say how many of them. So I
yeah
think that's where the grey area was, is that it was like, well, it says lapped cars, so that would in theory mean that all lapped cars, because anybody who's been lapped is a lapped car. But it doesn't say well, it literally everybody must go past the safety car if they've been lapped. So I think that's what the problem was. I I'm a Lewis fanboy, so um, so it was manipulated, man. Come on, obviously, what you're on about. So, um, to be fair, with blue flags and Verstappen on softs and Lewis on old hards, I would be interested to see what would have happened if the race restarted without the 4 lap cars being let through anyway. Because I think probably by the main straight, Verstappen would be second on track anyway, I think.
yeah
So that would have been even more interesting, I think, because Verstappen would be sending it, and we know what Verstappen's like when he's sending it. Uh, sorry, Verstappen fans. Um, but anyway, um, yeah. So I think obviously with the blue flags and everything, because they'd immediately be getting blue flags with 1 lap on the last lap, he'd probably be he'd probably be third on track, maybe even not second on track, but maybe like fourth or third on track before turn one even, and then he's got 1 lap car in between him and then Hamilton ahead. And by the time they get to the new sort of hairpin that it is, obviously they've sort of changed it a bit, but um, I think he probably would have been right behind Hamilton anyway. To be honest,
yeah
I don't think he'd been able to make the move that he did, but I think down the main straight and obviously into the second straight after the middle chicane, then potentially he would have been like sending it anyway. So, oh yeah, I wasn't a fan of what Massey did for Lewis, obviously, but I don't think the problem I had with it as well was that so many people who weren't F1 fans were watching that F1 race for the first time, so their perception of F1 is like, oh, he just bends the rules, does whatever he wants just to make it a fun race, supposedly. Like,
yeah. A lot of my
it
friends
didn't work
said
out.
sorry.
It just didn't work out for like Formula One, I don't think, in a nutshell, because of what happened at the end of that race, which is a shame, really, because it was pretty good to have the championship decided on, well, decided on the last lap, but decided in the final race of the season, to be fair, as well, because we haven't had that for a long time. So,
Yeah, a lot of my non-F1 fans was like tuning in just because it was only the second time ever that the championship was going down to the wire, like on the same
Mm.
number of points in the final round, and literally they was all tuning in, and in the end it was like, well, that's not really a sport, is it? That was entertainment, really, kind of thing, and all that
Yeah,
stuff. Which originally I did kind of like disagree with it, saying no, 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 no. It was trying to make it fair, but yeah, uh, it's very I'm a Hamilton fanboy as well. Literally, I love him. He's the man. But cool. I think overall Verstappen probably deserved to win it, and I think we have missed the point slightly about we're talking more about the Michael Massey stuff, and we should be talking about Verstappen being the first his first championship. It probably was going to be quite a lot, to be fair. He's only 24. It feels like he's been around forever and a day.
mm, that's
Um,
true.
I feel that we've missed we should be celebrating Verstappen winning the title rather than talking about Massey, and I think that's probably more worse really. Overall, on the balance of things, Verstappen I think deserved to win because he was unlucky during the season, but so was Hamilton. And I think we should really appreciate the season as a whole. It's been fantastic. I mean, we've gone
Yeah,
from the procession to then Verstappen versus Hamilton, even though it has got a bit ugly on old social media and stuff, which is a bit disappointing. But you know, people get a bit irate about these things. I mean,
hmm
I get a bit irate about a lot of things, like when there's no food in the fridge. But never mind. Yeah, I think yeah, it's a difficult one for me to like stomach really because I've said that Massey it's a hard act to follow from Charlie White, and Charlie Whiting was in the job for years and
definitely.
years and years. And when he suddenly passed away on the eve of 2019, wasn't it, in Australia? That was really
Yeah,
weird.
yeah.
That was so sad and shocking. And he was just thrusted into the limelight. And whether he maybe caught on some of what Charlie Whiting had or not, I do not know. But I feel that some of the scrutiny is a bit unfair. But he's in his third season now. This is probably he's had some dodgy decisions. I think this season's been magnified just because of how competitive it's been. Um,
Definitely.
but
And
I
I
do feel,
think on that as well, like the number of incidents or coming together, as you say, like between the top two, between the two fighting for the title, Max and Lewis, has caused that attention on Massey because throughout the season, it's not just been on Abu Dhabi, or even as well before Abu Dhabi. All of like, the incidents between the two of them in Silverstone, in Monza, that sort of thing, all of that attention has been based on Massey because of all of his decision making that's been made throughout the season. And I think honestly, obviously, it is going to be a difficult job, especially like I said, following in Charlie's footsteps as well. But some of the decision making I think has been questionable on both sides, not just for on Lewis's behalf, but like on Max's behalf, on other drivers' behalf, on the grid as well. Throughout this season that's finished, I think there was irregularities. There wasn't anything sort of structural about the penalty system and how it was actually enforced as well throughout the season on some drivers. Um, and I think that's probably why the questions on at the end of Abu Dhabi were even greater because of who it was making the decisions, and it was Massey.
yeah,
Like you said, Max. I think over the season, I think like you said with Azerbaijan, he was leading the race. He was easily going to win that race, and then he had the puncture. 25 points, 26 points with fastest lap. That's guaranteed pretty much if it didn't happen. So I think there were instances throughout the season, and obviously with Hungary and stuff like that as well. Um, there were instances throughout the season where Max was pretty much nailed on to win that race anyway, and DNF'd or didn't get the result because of stuff outside of his control. So I think over the season, I think, like I said, Max was probably deserved champion. Um, in the last five races, you'd say Hamilton because literally he had to go for it, he had to send it, and that's more what I want to see actually of F1 because I've been sitting in a party or something talking about F1 with you or with somebody else or anybody, but and I've just said, well, they're just basically just well, we need to conserve the tires, we need to conserve the engines, that sort of
mm,
thing. with all these engine penalties, with all the penalties and things coming in, it's like not creating that sort of just drive the car until it blows up, basically. Obviously, within its limits, obviously, but if you know what I mean, like it's not as hard racing. And like you saw at the end of the season, Mercedes taking engine penalty, engine penalty, engine penalty, but having the pace to get through the field, like Lewis at Brazil, for example, from the back of the grid, effectively with the sprint race. But he had the fresh engine. He put the fresh engine in on that purpose, knowing he was going to get a penalty. So I think it just shows that the penalty situation for the engine side of things is just not it's not working, because it creates more entertaining racing if people can actually put in a fresh engine maybe not every race, obviously, to keep the costs down and things like that still, but have some sort of measure to make the races more entertaining still as well. I think. Don't know what you think. Sorry.
No, that's a very difficult one for me because I'm old. I'm like 3 decades now. I started watching Formula One without any of these penalties and things like that. It was like throw a fresh engine in after qualifying, throw a fresh engine in after the like before the race kind of thing. They literally have a new
After the
engine
race.
after the race, before the race. Well, technically they did, but they was like throwing in engines left, right, and centre, and yeah, that's not sustainable now. Like completely not. We've seen a lot
No,
of
no,
great
no.
teams, go bust, and I was watching. I'm going off a tangent here now. Hang on. I was watching a video on Arrows, and it really made me sad because I loved the Arrows team. Absolutely, they was like one of the best teams on the grid, mainly because it's like orange and it's matches my hair color. But I loved that Arrows team, and they went bust because of a Nigerian prince. Basically, he was like the older version of like William Story. We all know about Bad Santa, as he's called,
Okay.
isn't
Yeah.
he? Yes. He was like it was another version of him, really. Basically, he didn't cough up the money, and Arrows unfortunately went bust as a result of it. Maybe not a direct result of it, but it cost them down the line. Yeah, you can't have that now, because if you had engine penalties back then, maybe you would have seen some teams still in F1 now, and yeah, I want more teams on the grid, and the way we get more teams on the grid is by the cost cap and by your controlling costs, and like not throwing an engine in. And I think your original question was, Alex, was about the engine. So there's me gone all the way around. But I'm not sure about this because it's very difficult to control, because some people say minus points for the constructors and all that kind of stuff. But I'm really against minus points. I don't like this minus point stuff. I don't like the penalties either. I don't like the grid penalties because it takes people out of the like if it's a track like Hungary, then that basically race weekend for Lando Norris, for example, is completely gone, and it's I don't know how they can police it. It's a very difficult one for me.
Yeah.
I would say get rid of the engine penalty, but then everyone's gonna like just throw a new engine in, aren't they? Well, especially Mercedes and Red Bull and all that kind of stuff. I
Yeah.
don't know.
I mean, there's a strategy to taking a new engine, and that's what I think they wanted to implement as well, in terms of, like I said, with Hungary, like don't take an engine penalty at Hungary. Like
Yeah.
you will basically just screw your race. So I think that's what the plan was there. It was like, if we say, well, you've got to use an engine for this many races, then the teams they can switch the engines out. I think they can, but then they have to you have to limit that engine to a certain number of races. So, for example, if they had 3 races with one engine all the way up to Hungary, and then Hungary was the 4th race, and they had to race it at Hungary, then, because they basically had no choice, because if they took an engine penalty, then they'd be demoted down the grid. Then that's what the current system sort of enforces, is that it stops them from taking an extra engine, stops them from wasting like the resources, the sustainability side of F1 based on the penalty side of things. But what I was getting at is more like, we've got it's like 6 races for one engine or something like that, or certain components as well now, alongside that. Um, and I think that's just too much, because you see people just having races where they just don't bother competing, even in a Mercedes or a Red Bull, because they're just trying to save engine components for another race coming up. Whereas we saw when Hamilton puts in fresh engines and stuff, the racing actually is good. And think of Lewis and Verstappen racing around with a fresh engine every other week or something like that. I think that would be more entertaining, even in my opinion, anyway.
Yeah, I think it would be as well, because of just because that when that fresh engine went in Brazil, it was incredible to watch. Yeah, it would have been incredible to watch if it was with Staffen or something like that. It was fantastic. But I really don't want the answer to this one. It's very difficult, isn't it? Because if you just like, we've already seen what teams do. You give them an inch, they run a mile, kind of thing. Expecting with the new regulations in 2022, someone's going to find a loophole. There's already rumours about Alpine that have found a loophole, and Mercedes as well may have found a loophole. But it's like with the double diffuser with Brawn, which it was really nice to see like a underdog like Brawn, Williams, and Toyota. I think it was. They got the double diffuser sorted straight from the get go, and it was really good to see them up there. But if like, literally, teams are always going to find that, aren't they? You give them any kind of margin, and they're just going to fly with the wind.
Yeah. Interestingly, I saw I can't remember where it was now. It's an article from James at Mercedes. Valtteri, it's James. Um, but basically, he was saying that because of these new regulations, some teams are gonna find these loopholes, probably hinting that, like you said, Mercedes might have found something already and already done it. Um, and then some teams are just gonna just drop completely because they just can't compete because of these regulations. I know that there's the cost cap and everything like to stop the spending at certain limits, obviously for some teams. Um, well, to even it out between the teams, obviously. Um, but yeah, he was basically saying that because of these new regulations, it's going to go all over the place in terms of team performances. But I'm sure he's expecting Mercedes to be at the top, obviously. But yeah, he's expecting the order to be just completely mixed up as well, again from what it was in the 2021 season. So
Well, I
you
hope
never
so
know. I
personally.
mean, that could be good.
Oh yeah, I'd love to see an Alpine up there or an Aston Martin or something like that. That'd be really cool to see. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, Aston had a pretty poor season, didn't they? So
it
they
can't
better
go any
hope they can
worse.
find a loophole. I was looking
It's all
forward to
changed
Aston
there.
Martin. Yeah, I
Yeah.
was looking forward to that. But then, yeah, to be fair, Alpine did pretty well. I didn't even like notice him until after the end of the season, and was like, oh, Alpine finished fifth. That's not bad.
Yeah,
Well,
they was
obviously,
very much under the radar, weren't they? Alpine was.
yeah.
I mean,
With the Ferraris and McLarens, you like nailed on for third
yeah.
or fourth. Obviously, Mercedes, Red Bull first and second, but yeah, I didn't. I was like, oh, didn't really pay attention to who was like fifth because I knew that obviously the mid-table teams would be mid-table. They're all battling for the last points anyway, sort of thing. I didn't pay attention to who was fifth until I was like, oh, the season's over, and oh, Alpine finished fifth. I'm like, oh, okay, fair enough. So,
I don't know how we can say they went under the radar when Alcon won a Grand Prix in
oh yeah,
Hungary,
that's
but
true.
it's it's like yeah, they just kind of floated up there because because AlphaTauri has been disappointed for me. I think we got bullet points, Alex, and we've gone completely off it. But we're on the like
Oh well.
teams now. But AlphaTauri was disappointing me, and I don't think it was Gasly's fault. I don't want to be nasty to
Mm,
Sonoda, but unfortunately, he didn't do very well at all, did he? Really, he needs to pick his socks up, I think. But I think if Sonoda achieved like half the results that Gasly achieved, then it would have been an easy fifth position for AlphaTauri, in my opinion. So
definitely,
maybe it was more of AlphaTauri failed rather than Alpine succeeded. Harsh, possibly.
potentially, yeah. I do think, and I know when we were looking, what was it, obviously going away for first race of the season back in March last year. Um, I think Sonoda was in. He was qualified in Q3, got into Q3 and looked pretty good. Don't think it went well from him in the race from memory. And then after that, it looking like it's going to be a great season and AlphaTauri with Gasly, of course, like you said, and Tsunoda doing a good job in Bahrain, sort of qualifying at the beginning anyway. And I think it sort of just went downhill for him then straight away, which is a surprise, and it's a bit strange in it. But fingers crossed he keeps his seat. So,
Yeah, I hope he does as well because I'm a big fan of Tsunoda. I really but there's so many drivers that deserve to be in F1 that are not in F1. Unfortunately, it's got to be it's a cutthroat business at the end of the day. I mean, you hear people like I think it was Glock who was debuted in 2004 for the Jordan team, and then he was cut at the end of that season. Then he returned with Toyota in 2008, and I think Glock was just not. He was okay in Jordan, but he didn't really give he didn't give as good as he got. I don't think, and he had a second chance. Like Grosjean as well. Grosjean in his first stint in F1, wasn't great. I know that there's going to be a few like frown faces now, but I thought Grosjean, especially in 2013, was quality. That was his peak. Grosjean was, and he was superb in that Lotus. Yeah, he had some difficult times in 2012 where he kept crashing into everyone. But we've all done that, haven't we? Well, I certainly have.
I try not to, but you know.
It's everyone else. It can't be me. But Grosjean in 2013, I think he deserved to be in F1. Maybe he outstayed his welcome potentially, but there was flashes of brilliance from Grosjean, like debut in Haas. Australia came sixth, he came fifth in Bahrain. Yeah, and then with Tsunoda, I think that he might be one of those drivers. It just takes time to get into it. But this season, I think it's going to be now or never. I think for this season because they're in the Red Bull family at the moment. There's Liam Lawson coming up, isn't there? There's a couple of other drivers as well. That's like I'm not sure about that Daruva. Is it Daruvilla? I don't know.
Daruvilla, yeah.
That's the one. I'm not sure about him, so I don't think he's to worry. Tsunoda shouldn't worry about him too much. Famous last words, Alex. You know what's going to happen now, don't you?
The commentator curse strikes again.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think, well, like you said, you said it earlier as well. You were like, we need more teams, more drivers on the grid. Getting up to 26 drivers or something like that would be good, wouldn't it? But yeah, finding the teams to come in with the financial sort of backing to do that, and then getting drivers that are in there based on their merit rather than their funds. Is also difficult, it seems like, as we found out already in the current grid of F1. But yeah, it's yeah, like I said, it's the politics and the background of it that we've got to deal with now. I think F1 is money driven, isn't it? As most sport is, all sport is. So that's where we got to really.
Money talks, Alex.
What's your favourite track, Sean?
Of all time.
Just segueing quickly into a brand new topic. There we go.
You're run out of time, haven't we?
Yeah, I mean, you can have your your favourite track. It doesn't have to be on the HD calendar or on the F1 calendar now, but any F1 race, which track would you say was your favourite?
I'm going to be honest. If you ask me this question next month, it'll be changed. I found a very old F1 game the other day. The first ever Formula 1 game on PlayStation, and I had to go on Adelaide, and I've forgotten how great that circuit was. But that was last night race. I was 95. But modern day, let's keep it up to date, shall we? Modern day. Ooh. I don't know. I'm really enjoying Saudi Arabia at the moment. I don't think that's everyone's cup of tea, but I just love the first sector. It gives me an adrenaline rush. It has to be Spa for me, though. It's the greatest track in the world. It has everything. Straights, La Source, Eau Rouge, Radion. Oh, gosh. The corner of no name, which for some reason I keep crashing. I don't know why.
That's in real life as well.
It is. I'm not in Belgium anymore. There's a permanent dent in the barrier now. Pouillon, Blanchimont, yeah. I do prefer the old version of Spa when they had the old bus stop chicane. I don't like the new bus stop chicane. If you've ever seen me moan about that on ALR and soon to be Hyperdrive, and I say soon to be 17 weeks time.
Something like that, yeah. I think it's around 15, 16.
Yes, so you'll be hearing about that, me moaning about that on a Sunday probably, but it's Spa for me. What about you, Alex?
Oh, I was going to say, just speaking of Spa, do you remember the original layout where it was about 5 hours long or something like that?
There was a really
That's a bit of
scary
exaggeration.
corner. It was like it was just as long as the Nürburgring, wasn't it? Like the old Nordschleife, wasn't it? It was very
I
long.
think it might have been a bit longer,
Might have
or
been. It was
maybe
like
not.
14
Maybe
minutes,
not.
wasn't it? Like for a lap or
Yeah,
something.
on an F1 car.
Yeah, isn't it like a modern day F1 car as well? I've seen a sim racer do it. There was a corner which I was absolutely clenching. I wasn't even driving, and literally they was inches away from this house, and I was like, "Gosh, the old Formula One drivers were
Mm.
so brave. I'm borderline stupid. Don't want to be nasty, but they were pretty. I must say, I don't think if someone offered me a chance in the old F1 car, I probably would say no. I'm like,
Yeah, if you wanted to get out alive, yeah.
yeah, but yeah,
Yeah, I know what you mean. But yeah, so that was sort of interrupted you on that spot on the Spa one. So yeah, Spa is the favourite for you. I don't know what to go with. So there's too many tracks. I think personally, just because of where I'm from and the history of F1 and where it was founded, I'll have to say Silverstone as a historic track and where it all began, sort of thing. Um, in terms of racing it, and obviously racing it on games, because God, if you let me onto a track, I wouldn't come out. So, um, racing it on a game, I love Monaco as well. And again, a very historic track. Everyone's favourite as well, like you were saying about
mm.
about China or something earlier. Um, yeah, Monaco's a great track. And then Azerbaijan. It's anything street track related, to be honest. I'm a fan of. Yeah, I don't know why. Um, People say there's something wrong with me.
Yeah, there is.
So, well, people, there's people. So, oh, he just fell off the
I know.
screen.
I almost fell off my bed. It's broke, so I'm like struggling to like stay still.
Oh God, yeah. So anything street track related really is my favourite. So yeah, I'm a big fan of Baku. Yeah, it's a good track.
Yeah,
What about
I'm not.
your you what?
I'm not. Not Baku.
Yeah, I
Nightmare.
can tell. Yeah, I can tell from your reaction. But since it's been introduced, I think it's had some really entertaining races. To be fair,
Yeah, I
like
think
F1 races as well. I know even in league racing as well. I think it's really entertaining pretty much every race.
it's very difficult, isn't it? Because favorite track to drive or favorite track to watch. Because I think
Mm.
favorite track to watch, I'm evil. I would say Saudi Arabia. I would say Monaco, Baku. I love a good crash. I love it when league racing goes a bit peaked on. So yeah, so I'm
Brilliant.
evil. I love it. I love it when the drivers are tested and stuff like that. But to drive on it, no, 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 definitely not.
Fair enough. Fair enough. So, would you be putting Baku in your worst tracks then? If we switch it over, which one's your worst tracks?
Modern day worst track. As in not liking to drive it, I would actually say Portugal, which I'm really
Hmm.
disappointed by because I love driving it. Well, I love driving it, but I'm just so slow around there. So I know that's kind of contradicting myself now. I enjoy driving it, but I'm not very good around there. Track I don't enjoy, or I like. I always like. Oh, here we go again. You're gonna really be disappointed in me. It's Silverstone. I don't know why. I just can't get into it. The old version, fantastic. Bridge, yeah. I don't like the
Hmm.
new layout. I don't like the new part. It breaks up the flow for me. And the loop, I think it's just that one corner really. The loop in turn four. I keep spinning up the rear tires, and then I'm always around. So yeah, it's the first part of the track. If they kept the original Silverstone, that would be up in my top. That would literally be my top five forever. But and I enjoy watching races around there, but I just can't drive around there to save my life.
Fair enough. That's fair enough. What about in terms of watching it then? So, which one would you say you don't like watching?
Don't like watching. Hmm. I'm gonna be boring here. I love watching all races. To be fair,
That's true.
there's
To be
there's
fair.
there's not one race on the HD calendar that I'm like, oh gosh, not this one kind of thing. Um,
Hmm.
sometimes the strategy, again, going to Silverstone, I think this is probably why the strategy may be like kind of set in stone, medium to soft, soft to medium kind of thing. But even so, we had a cracking battle with John Cox, Fisher. I think Emerson was involved as well. Somewhere we had a four-way battle for the lead.
It was
But
Silverstone, so he wasn't involved.
oh no, he wasn't. He was probably out actually, wasn't he? He loves Cops Corner, don't he? We had a great four-way battle. I can't remember who the other two are now, but it was quality. They was all like separated by tenths of a second. I think John Cox went on to a hard tire, which unfortunately ended his race really. But the other three was on the medium. They stayed on the same strategy and literally tailgated each other right to the checkered flag. It was fantastic. So I hate to just be a boring Alex, but I don't really like look at race and think, oh gosh, I've got to commentate on this one because I don't think I've ever had that.
What
What
about
about you?
France?
It's really weird, but I like commentating on France, and I like racing around France as well, especially the final sector. it's,
Okay.
yeah, I know. I'm an oddball.
I was going to say, I think actually in terms of league racing, it throws up some good races. I think just purely because it's the mechanics of the game and makes it more actually enjoyable
Yeah,
to race it. Whereas in real life, I think it's just a bit of a struggle trying to watch some French Grand Prix. I think 2021 was really entertaining, obviously with the
yeah.
strategy between Red Bull and Mercedes, obviously as well. But yeah, in usually in real life, it's just right where you can just send me to sleep, wake me up when somebody finishes the race.
Bit
So,
like Spain, really, for me. I can't
so
watch Spain in real life. It used to be a bit of a struggle,
yeah, yeah.
especially with the Schumacher era. Gosh, it was quite a bore fest.
hmm hmm Yeah, so yeah, I think there's a few where there's tracks that need to be just well, I think you said about Silverstone as well, like just maybe slightly adapted where to make it more interesting. And I think that's what they've done with some of the tracks, like Abu Dhabi, for example, and they've done it at Spain as well to an extent with the one corner in at turn 10, I think it is, isn't it? Um, to make it a bit more entertaining racing wise, because I think the overtaking side of things is what they're obviously trying to promote as much as they can, and even with the new regs, that's sort of even more trying to increase it. Supposedly, I know they always try and supposedly increase it, and then it never works.
More things
But
change,
yeah,
the more
so
they say the same, isn't
yeah,
it?
exactly. But yeah, so we never know. We'll have to see what happens next. Yeah, so well, just to sum up, then, how are you today?
I'm not too
That's good.
bad.
Uh, just to sum up, so yeah, I mean, thank you everyone for joining us. The first ever podcast on this channel. There's going to be a few tweaks, obviously, to make it a bit better, a bit more pleasurable to view, and that sort of thing. But yeah, we'll get there eventually. And yeah, like I said, it's hopefully going to be a weekly thing. So yeah, it'll be up once a week on the HDE YouTube channel. And yeah, thank you very much for joining us.
Ciao for now.